Fans of the Suikoden series know there's nothing quite like its blend of epic storytelling, the thrill of recruiting 108 stars of destiny, and constructing a vibrant headquarters. So when Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes was announced as a spiritual successor, it felt like the stars were aligning and people with passion were gathered toward a common cause. Today, we'll dive into this ambitious Kickstarter-born project, explore its highs and lows, and see if it lives up to its legacy. Published by Rabbit and Bear Studios, the game received a multi-platform release worldwide on April 23, 2024. I played the game on the Sony PlayStation 5 on normal difficulty, so get that red gil polished, insert that rune lens, and let's set off into the world of Allrun. The journey of Eiyuden Chronicle began in 2020 with a Kickstarter campaign spearheaded by the late Yohitaka Murayama, creator of the Suikoden series, and his team at Rabbit and Bear Studios. Garnering over $3 million in funding, the campaign sparked hope for a new generation of fans, whilst reigniting nostalgia for veterans. The team aimed to capture the essence of Suikoden, a politically charged story, a diverse, sprawling cast, and the iconic recruitment system. But as is often the case with crowd-funded projects, the ambition of stretch goals and the constraints of indie development presented unique challenges that can be observed both within the narrative as well as the visual presentation of the game. Our story starts with Nowa, a starry-eyed young man from a small village, and expands to include two additional protagonists, Sane Kessling, a Galdean noble, and Marissa, a guardian of the Great Wood. Initially, I was excited about the multi-perspective setup, as it put to mind the Trinity Sight system of Suikoden 3. However, the execution sadly fell flat for me. Unlike Suikoden 3, where overlapping narratives deepened the story, 100 Heroes only had a few opportunities to play as different characters, though largely this was for filling out perspectives of the narrative, where these characters are not present in the party with Nowa. I felt that this was a missed opportunity for dynamic storytelling, which could have elevated the game. The plot itself treads familiar ground. Nowa's discovery of a Primal Lens within a rune burrows sparks a war between the expansionist Galdean Empire and the League of Nations. While the narrative is serviceable, it rarely takes risks, staying firmly in black and white moral territory. There's no gut-wrenching betrayal, no morally grey antagonist, just a straightforward tale of liberation. For a spiritual successor to Suikoden, which thrived on complex politics and emotional stakes, this game felt a little undercooked and disappointing. Exploration didn't really impress me as much as I would have liked it to. Most of the locations are what you would expect in a stock standard RPG. Desert areas, snowy tundra, plains and fields, the usual. Some of the cities themselves were impressive. In particular, I did like the Eastern-influenced Haishan, which called back to the roots of the Suikoden series, but other than that, other locations were rather generic. When exploring hostile areas, you may find treasure chests containing items and trinkets that are helpful for the journey. I liked that the colour of the chest generally denoted the rarity of the item that you would receive by opening it, which made going off the beaten path seem worth it. Resource collection adds depth to the gameplay, as materials like lumber and minerals are crucial for upgrading your headquarters. Speaking of HQ, I loved the concept of physically building and enhancing your facilities, but the base itself lacked personality. Unlike Suikoden's memorable castles, this one felt more like a checklist of functions than a living, breathing hub, but more on that later. Combat is triggered randomly in hostile environments, immediately drawing the party from field exploration into battle. Parties consist of 6 active members and 1 support, but you may also put 3 other party members into reserve spots, which are usually for when you don't want story essential characters in fights with enemies, such as Periel. Party members can act in battle based on their weapon type and which row you have placed them into. Characters are relegated to S, M, and L type, depending on what weapon they wield, and where they are placed determines which enemies they can hit in the opponent's formation. For example, S and M characters can only attack the opponent's front row. However, S characters cannot use their weapon if you place them in the back row of your own formation. L characters can attack the back row of the enemy unit, though they tend to be weaker and are best placed in the back row of your own party. Choosing the right combination of characters, whom can take advantage of their weapon types, is key to being the victor. Characters can attack, defend, use magic, or an item, all part and core for the RPG experience. Certain skills associated with Rune Lens can only be activated by means of having accumulated a set number of SP. Each character commences combat with a certain amount of SP, which can be influenced by equipment. Some special skills cannot be used if a party member doesn't have the right amount of SP accumulated, though this resource rises by 1 for each party member at the start of every combat round that they remain alive. SP is also used in Unite attacks, which grants multiple characters the ability to combine their attacks together in spectacular fashion. I rarely use this, as most of the Unite attacks, whilst were visually pleasing, were not stronger than the individual characters attacking or using abilities on their own, which was a shame. Rune Lens that require MP also have a high cost, which exhausts MP very quickly, and the payout for this generally isn't worth it, as magic abilities do not seem to scale in capability as your characters level up, so basic spells always end up doing minimal damage. In the end, I only used healing magic with Kuroto and defensive magic with Momo due to the cost of managing MP with minimal items available to replenish the spent resource. I wish the MP system was similar to what Suikoden used, as it made managing spells far easier. Whilst the story itself didn't have me hooked, I did enjoy the various characters that Nowa meets on the journey. Being that all characters are voiced, the narrative presentation was enhanced, as you can choose who you wish to bring along to almost every objective, even including not having Nowa in your direct battle party. There was room for interesting lineups, and sometimes your party members would comment on the current situation. I always enjoyed when Lamb made a sassy quip based on the wisdom of her years. Though I experimented with different party members through my course of the adventure, I ended up settling on Nowa, Kuroto, Yusuke, Momo, Lamb, and Marius for that bit of diversity and humour. And of course we can't forget the muscled men flexing at the end of every battle to set the heart racing that I had to put in the closest position to the bottom of the screen as possible. Not too far into the story, Nowa will be entrusted with some castle ruins and tasked with collecting like-minded individuals to reside there and assist with pushing back the Galdean Empire. While some of these recruits can directly be set into the battle party for their combat capabilities, others will open stores and facilities around the castle, and this is where the resource gathering comes into play. When expanding your castle, you need not only the correct ally recruited, but also cash and resources, which can be gathered from the wild areas of Olran. Not cash though, I really wish money did grow on trees. I often found myself revisiting old locations to collect the necessary resources, as well as combing all the less used roads and pathways for characters that could possibly be recruited. When you're tired from the hubbub of the narrative and exploring the world, you can take a load off in your headquarters through a variety of activities. Beyond the standard fare of shopping for equipment and items, or remodeling sections of your base to enhance its functionality, the game offers a variety of minigames and diversions to keep you engaged. These activities not only provide a break from the main storyline, but also add a layer of charm to the base building experience. The Hot Spring, for instance, offers a serene respite where your characters can unwind, and it serves as a delightful callback to the Suikoden series. Participating in Eggfoot races, a quirky and surprisingly competitive activity, is a fun diversion, though it can sometimes feel gimmicky. The card game is also a pleasant addition, allowing for strategic battles against other characters, while Beigoma, although unique, may frustrate players with its seemingly luck-based outcomes. Perhaps the most engaging of these activities is the ability to stage plays in the theatre, which calls back to Suikoden 3. Recruiting actors and putting on performances adds a layer of creativity and humour to the game, with some hilariously absurd moments, such as casting two men as the leads in a production of Romeo and Juliet.
And yet never again shall I gaze into those deep pools that are thine eyes. Thus with a kiss I die. May we meet again in a world untouched by strife.
These light-hearted moments inject personality into the HQ and give players reasons to explore and interact with its residents. Of course, there's also the cooking battle, which has made a return from Suikoden 2, but I felt it was quite hollow. Previously, you could choose a dish which would have variations based on the seasoning added, and this is sadly absent here. Most cooking battles tend to be easy if you find a winning combination of recipes, though I did have trouble with that damn robot. The intro fanfare and the cooking music itself also did not have as much impact as the original. Ultimately, to me, it just felt like an imposter and a lesser version of Tai-Ho's more exciting contests. Even the cooking arena itself is time displaced, anachronic almost, always playing out in the most basic setting of the inn, even after you've upgraded it. Then there's the one-on-one battles where your life really is on the line in combat, which aim to evoke the intensity of similar duels from the Suikoden series, but ultimately fell short. While they're a welcome addition to the gameplay, they lack the depth and stakes that made their predecessors so memorable. The mechanics are straightforward, with limited response options, attack and counter. Unlike Suikoden, where careful reading of an opponent's dialogue could provide hints about their next move, the battles here feel more like a guessing game. The sense of tension is further reduced by the relatively low stakes of these encounters, as failure does not carry significant consequence for the broader story of your party, like for example in the first Suikoden, where Tio and Pan had to battle against each other, and the outcome of that battle affected the rest of the story, and what ending you would get. These duels could have been a highlight of the game, but their simplistic execution leaves them feeling more like an afterthought. Army scale battles are another ambitious feature of 100 Heroes, and while the concept is intriguing, their execution leaves much to be desired. These battles allow players to command units and strategize on a larger scale, moving troops around a map to engage in combat. Initially, this concept is exciting, giving a sense of grandeur to the ongoing war between the League of Nations and the Galdean Empire. Unfortunately, the challenge is minimal, and the outcomes feel predetermined, removing any sense of tension or risk. There are no high-stakes moments or dire consequences if your strategies falter, no character will permanently die if they fall in battle, which diminishes the impact of these sequences. The scrolling narrative that accompanies the clashes lists the name of soldiers who have fallen, which might have been a poignant touch. However, these names appear to be those of Kickstarter backers, breaking immersion and serving more as a nod to contributors than as a narrative device. While the army battles add variety to the gameplay, their lack of difficulty and emotional weight makes them feel more like filler content than a core gameplay feature. With more refinement and higher stakes, they could have been a bit more impactful. Graphically, 100 Heroes boasts an incredible blend of pixel art characters set against detailed 3D rendered backgrounds, which truly shine in field exploration. The environments feel vibrant and alive, with lush forests, arid deserts, and bustling towns brought to life with stunning attention to detail. The transition between these environments is seamless, making exploration a treat for the eyes. The depth added by the 3D backgrounds beautifully complements the retro-inspired pixel art of the characters, evoking nostalgia while showcasing a modern aesthetic. However, the visual charm begins to falter in combat sequences. While the character sprites remain impressive, capturing distinct personalities and fluid animations, the enemy design often felt out of place. Their aesthetic is reminiscent of games like MapleStory or Ragnarok Online, with exaggerated and cartoonish designs that clash with the grounded and cohesive style of the main characters. This disconnect diminishes the immersion and can make combat feel less impactful. It's a shame because the potential for striking, memorable battles was there, but the enemy designs just seem to belong to a different game entirely. Music often serves as the soul of RPGs, capable of transforming mundane moments into memorable ones and battles into high-stakes encounters. Unfortunately, the soundtrack of 100 Heroes doesn't fully capitalize on this potential. While the compositions are fitting to where they appear and are respective toward their scenes that they accompany, they lack the distinctiveness and emotional weight needed to elevate the narrative. Apart from the vocal theme, which stands out as one of the truly emotive and memorable tracks, the rest of the music feels more like background noise than a driving force. Even the theme for the headquarters, which traditionally serves as a hopeful and uplifting anthem in the Suikoden series, fails to leave a lasting impression. Instead of inspiring a sense of camaraderie and triumph, it fades into the background, forgettable and underwhelming. The absence of impactful themes during pivotal moments or character-driven arcs is particularly noticeable. In a game that draws so much inspiration from a series known for its evocative music, the lack of a powerful and memorable soundtrack is disappointing. It's not bad by any means, it's well composed and orchestrated, but it doesn't reach the heights that fans of the genre of the developer's previous work might have hoped for. On the other hand, the voice acting was great and made an impression with some moving deliveries at points, as well as a wide variety of accents which distinguish people from each other based on their heritage, lineage, and the dialects of their localities. For example, where Galdeans tend to have an elevated posh accent, there are party members like Yusuke who sound roguish, or Marius that has a heavy Eastern European accent. I liked this variety. Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes is a game brimming with ambition, nostalgia, and a deep love for the Suikoden legacy. It successfully delivers moments of charm through its vibrant character roster, the thrill of recruitment, and its meticulous attention to world building. The pixel art graphics, especially in the field and the character combat sprites, are a visual treat, and the voice acting injects life into the diverse cast of characters. However, the game falls short of its lofty aspirations in several key areas. The narrative plays it too safe, combat mechanics lack the fine-tuned balance expected of the genre, and the soundtrack, while competent, fails to evoke the emotional resonance needed to elevate the game. Add to that some missed opportunities in storytelling, and the lack of levity to the larger scale battles, and the game begins to feel more like an homage rather than a full-fledged successor to the Suikoden series. For fans of classic JRPGs and Suikoden veterans, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes is like an apple extended from an out-of-reach branch when you're famished, the dew forming into sustenance as it drips down to your parched throat, not quite satiating your hunger, but leaving you with a want for more. As the curtain falls on this ambitious project, the potential for future installments and expansions to refine and build up on the foundations remain high, though hopefully next time not by means of a Kickstarter. Please, for the love of whomever you worship. By the way, I've seen mixed opinions on this title, so would be interested in hearing what you think. Let me know in the comments. This has been Venwa with a review of Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes for the Sony PlayStation 5. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more great JRPG content. As always, thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. I appreciate you, take care of yourselves, and bye bye for now. 叶え